All right, hey everyone. So we will now continue our SOQL session. Last time we did very basic SOQL queries, and we did a couple of major operators. We will now continue doing that along with few more things. So let me share my screen and continue this. Okay. I hope you're able to see my Salesforce screen. Let me open the developer
Yes.
console. Perfect. I've got some cold, so my voice is a bit heavy. Okay, we did. So what we did, let's revise few things. Okay. Uh, every SOQL query consists of select clause and from clause. Okay, we'll have to write select clause and from clause, and then where clause is an optional one. So every SOQL query will have a syntax like select ID and whatever fields we want to take from, and then this will be the object name. And then couple of additional clauses we can apply, like where clause, where name, let's say not equals to blank. So if we execute it, we'll be able to find. Okay. Now there are other clauses as well, and we did a few things like having clause, offset clause, order by clause, limit clause. So let us revise them very quickly. Limit clause is basically to limit the results. So currently we are getting, let's say 34. If we only want to get the 10 opportunity, we can limit it by 10 and we'll only get the 10 opportunities. Okay. Similar to limit clause, we have a offset clause. Offset clause will basically, let's say if I put the offset 5, what it will do, it will remove the first 5 results and will display you remaining 29. So out of total number of results, offset will reduce you the results by whatever number we provide here. So there were 34 opportunities we had. We provided offset. That means it will give you remaining 29 opportunities. It will remove initial 5 opportunities. Okay, that's when we use offset. Offset in real terms we use whenever we'll have to let's say in a page we'll have to display some results, and on the we have pagination like mechanism where we'll have to display 50-50 records on a single screen. So we displayed first 50, and then when we clicked on next, it will apply a offset of 50. So in that case, the query will return the next 50 records. And then we again click on next, it will apply a offset of 100. And then we again pick the next 50 records. Okay, so offset will keep on increasing the number of times we click on next until we have records in the query. Okay, so that's when we use offset. We get this question a lot in interviews that uh, how many records we can maximum get in a SOQL query. Okay, so you will answer 50,000 records. What if we want to get more records? Okay, then offset also comes in picture. So you have to answer this question in 3 different ways. Okay, whenever interviewer asks you, okay, what if I have more than 50,000 records in database and I want to fetch that, what to do? Okay, so obviously we cannot fetch more than 50,000. So your immediate answer will be, okay, if we try to access if we try to do a query on our object which has more than 50,000 records, then we will get the database error. We will not be able to fetch more than 50,000 records in a single query. Now there are a couple of alternatives or modifications we need to do. Like first, we can use the limit clause. Limit clause will make sure that we are not fetching more than 50,000. We will limit it on a certain limit. Okay. But then he might counter it by saying, what if I want to get that? Okay. So in that case, you can suggest him to use offset like feature. Okay, so don't fetch all the 50,000 at once. Fetch, let's say if it is about displaying in on the UI. So you will not be displaying all the 50,000 records in one go. You will be displaying limited records. So why to fetch all the records when you'll have to display limited records. Just display the limited record and build a offset functionality or build a pagination functionality. Whenever you click on next, you will refetch it from the database using the offset. By that way, you need not to fetch all the records from the database at once. Even if it is more than 50,000, if you are using offset properly, when let's say you are between 50,000 to 60,000, but in reality you are only fetching 10,000 because you are using offset. So offset will be able to fetch the records in the chunks of 10,000s. So by that, you are actually fetching only 10,000 records from the database. If it is only about processing records in the backend, then obviously you can suggest to go with the batch approach. Most of the time, people just say that, okay, if we are getting more than 50,000 records, then we have to go via batch epics. But when interviewer says that it is not about processing them, it is about displaying them, then what to do? Then in that case, you can use the combination of offset and limit, combination of pagination and offset. Do not fetch all the records at once. Try to fetch it in the chunks. Whatever chunks you want to display, try to fetch it in those chunks. And by that way, you will be able to fetch the records as well as able to display them, and you will not hit the governor limit. Okay. So offset is very helpful for the specific use cases. Okay. Last thing we were trying to get, when we finished the session, we were trying to do the group by class. So let's say I want to group by my uh, opportunities by, let's say, stage name. Start. Yeah. So what I want to see is how many opportunities I have on a particular stage. So I want to group my opportunity on a particular stage. Okay. So in that case, what I will do, I will use the group by class. Now, what you want to group? Okay, I want to see all the opportunities. So how will I get to know? If I put this aggregate operator on the or aggregate operator on the ID. Okay, and we will get the aggregate functions in the next stage. So I wanted to group all my opportunities on the stages. So for that, I use the group by clause. Okay, now what is this count? This is aggregate function. Okay, what are the aggregate function? We have four aggregate functions. Okay, sum, average, min, and max. Okay, and then we have count as well. So if I want to count all my, let's say, opportunities, what I can do, I can do this, select count from opportunity, and this will display me number. We have 34 opportunities. Okay, or let's say we have some as well. Okay, let me submit amount. On opportunities, we have amount. So I want to sum all the amount of all the opportunities. Okay, well, on all these 34 opportunities, whatever amount I have, I just want the sum of every opportunity I have. In that case, I can use the aggregate function sum, and it will be able to fetch me total sum I have. This will be very helpful when we do the roll-up summary kind of triggers on lookup relationship. Okay, on the obviously master detail relationship, we get this functionality automatically that we can create roll-up summary field. But on the lookup relationships, we will have to do it custom. Okay, and when we'll have to do it custom, these aggregate queries help us a lot. Okay, so we will use that. Let's say I want to find the opportunity with the max amount. Okay, so in that case, I can fetch it like this. Not some, sorry, what I'm doing. Amount, and then instead of sum, I will be using max. And then let's try to fetch that. must be grouped or aggregated, group by. Yeah, so opportunity with maximum amount is this. Similarly, with minimum amount, will have this opportunity. So aggregate functions will help us a lot when we do the roll-up summary triggers and parent to grandparent, parent to grandchild kind of triggers. Then these queries will help us a lot. Okay. All right. So these are the couple of you guys might have seen this like operator. Okay, you will see a lot of SOQL queries where you will be seeing this like operator. So let us try to see this as well. Select ID, comma name from, let's say, where. Let me first see what data we have. Based on we have two opportunities. Have test. Okay, let's see on account. Okay. Let us create some opportunities and then we will see the like operator, because like is also very important. And you can combine multiple operators and multiple clauses together. That is something I want you guys to practice, okay, on your own. Let's clone this, and in this, put test on the front. My test opportunity. This time, let's name it my opportunity and test in the last. Let's close this. This stays is prospecting and save this. Okay, we have created few opportunities and okay, so now I have an opportunity which starts with test. I have an opportunity with ends with test, and I have an opportunity which contains test in between. I want to show you the like operator. Okay, so I will query it where name like, and then we will use this uh like operator. Okay, so now if I do it like this, it will fetch you all the opportunities which contains test in between. Okay, you search it properly. Okay, so this is how you search it. You should not have gap in, otherwise it will consider gap also as a keyword and will only search opportunities which has gap in before test and after test. So this is a proper way to do this. There should not be any gap. So if I do it like this, it will fetch us all the opportunities which contains test in them. Okay, be it in the beginning, be it in the end, be it in the middle. It will fetch all such opportunities which contain text. Like operator is very helpful when when you create search terms. You have the UI where you put some user input, and then based on that user input, you search it on the database. So in that case, like keywords help us a lot. Okay. Whenever you have to create a functionality or LWC component where you create a search component, based on the user input, then this like keyword helps us a lot, and we will create a class with that shortly. So this is how you search a particular keyword. Now, if I remove the percentile symbol from the last, it will only fetch the opportunities if this percentile symbol is in the beginning. That means it will only fetch the opportunities which ends with test. Okay, whatever is written after that, it will fetch the opportunities which ends with the given keyword. If I, instead of moving it from front, from the last, we move it from the front and put it on the last, then it will fetch all the opportunities which starts with test. Okay, so in that case, it will first search this keyword and then will search the database. So if it is in the last, if this percentile symbol is in the last, that means it will fetch all the opportunities which starts with this keyword. If it is in the front, then that means it will search all the opportunities which ends with this keyword. And if it is in between, or if it is also in the front as well as in the last, then it will search all the opportunities which contains. Okay. So you remember that there are three use cases, and these are the actual implementation of these three use cases. Okay, always remember that. Anyone has any doubt in this like keyword? This is very important. You will be building a lot of lightning component based on that. Okay, so that is why I'm kind of stressing this. All right, let's see how we actually use it. Okay, so in the reality, what we do is we create Lightning Web components, we provide an input field, and then we pass that input parameter to Apex classes. Let's say if I create an Apex class, uh, search term, let's say handler. Okay, we'll have this class search term handler. Let's create a public static method search method, and this will take user input. Okay, a string user input. This user input you will pass from your Lightning Web component. Don't worry about this annotations and all. We are not creating any Lightning Web component right now. I just want to show you how it actually works. Okay. Now, what you do is you create a SOQL query here. Okay. Public static void. You create a SOQL query here. Okay. You can name it as like this, a string query, and you carry it like this: select ID, company name from, let's say, opportunity. Okay, where, or let me do it like this. This I will show you when I do the uh, injection. ID, comma name from opportunity, where name like, and then we will use that symbol, and here we will have to give that escape character user input. Okay, now let me format this properly. Okay. So what I'm trying to show you is that this user input will be dependent on your user input given by user on your Lightning Web component. And based on this user input, you will be doing a query here. Okay, so this query will highly be dependent on the user input provided by your user. Okay, this formatting we will do, don't worry, but that is the whole and soul of this. So it's like this. Then pencil down, and then this will be fine. This will be fine. User input is fine. This and down, and you guys see. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Unrecognized symbol delete is not a target because okay. This is how we actually build a you can say bind variables and a SOQL query. So this is I originally want to cover when I do the dynamic SOQL query, but let's do it like this. Okay, let me first tell you what are the static SOQL and what are the dynamic SOQL, and then based on that we will create this search term handler class. Okay, so let me just write this public class search and leave it as it is. Okay. See, okay, let's build a dynamic SOQL query. Search query is equals to, and then here we will build the query. Select ID, comma, let's say field name. Okay, I will explain this in a while. Okay, plus object name plus where plus field name plus like, not here, here. And then percentile symbol, and then here we will provide the search term. Okay, and then by the end we will again have the single quote, percentile symbol, close it, escape character, and then closing annotation. Okay, let me try to save this. Variable name does not exist. Yeah, we will provide all the variable name. Okay, so there are two types of SOQL query. One is static SOQL query, one is dynamic SOQL query. Okay, static SOQL queries are the query where we are aware about what to query at the runtime. Sorry, at the compile time. Okay, and dynamic SOQL queries are the query where we are not aware about what to query at the compile time. We only get to know what to query at the we only get to know at the runtime. Okay, so whenever we build our SOQL query in a way that we only get to know at the runtime, or whenever we want to build our SOQL query dynamically, that we will dynamically determine which object to query from, what to query from, which fields to query from, then we will call them the dynamic SOQL queries. Dynamic SOQL queries are very important for us to build the dynamic applications, reusable applications, reuse the same code for different objects. Whereas static queries are the queries which we are aware about which object to query from, which fields to query from, and what to query. Okay, so there are two types of queries. SOQL queries are static SOQL queries and dynamic SOQL queries. There are very high risk of SOQL injection in dynamic SOQL queries, because your query is dependent on so many other things. This search term is provided by user. If someone tries to play with your system, he may provide you a wrong search term and your query might break, or your query might display the data which it is not supposed to display. Okay, so we'll have to be very careful when we do with the dynamic SOQL query. Static SOQL queries are like, let's say we want to display the list of account, and we will call it account list, and based on here we already know we have to select id comma name from account. This is a static SOQL query, because in this we already aware at the compile time that what to query from and what fields to get. Okay, but the dynamic SOQL query, when we'll save this program, we'll save this code. Even after saving this, we'll not be aware about what to query and where to query it from. Okay, so those are the dynamic SOQL queries. Okay, so now we will see how do we use it. Okay, so we shall create an example for this. Okay. Hmm. So I was also saying SOQL injections. SOQL injections are the actually security vulnerabilities where attackers tries to attack your systems. Okay, so we will take the example of that, and we will first see how attackers attack our system and then how we can solve that problem. Okay, so let me create another method, public static void, and call it injection sample.
Mohit, so a dynamic query is the query like from where I mean we are taking the values through the variable, right?
Yes.
Okay, now clear.
Okay, through the variables, and at the at the compile time, we are not aware about what to query. Okay, and from where to query, like object name is not specified, what to query is not specified, which fields to query is not specified. So we will only get to know when we actually run that program. Okay, when we will run it, we might be getting data on the field name, object name from some other classes, or from the lightning web component. Okay, so we will only get to know what to query when we will actually run the program. Okay,
Okay,
now in this example, let's say we are getting an input as string input param. Okay, let's build a query here, string query. And it is always bit complex to build these queries, because they dependent on few things. Okay, so sometimes you might find it difficult, but it's not about the complexity. When you will give it a try in a one attempt or two, when you will get errors and all, you will be able to figure out what to let's say now Now here in this query, the where clause is dynamic. Okay, a remaining part is static, but the where clause is dynamic. So even one part, if in the whole query, even if the one part is dynamic, then that becomes the dynamic query. Okay, because at the runtime you will not be sure about complete query. Okay, so here the initial part like select clause and from clause are static. We know that what fields to get and from which table to get, but where clause is dynamic. Okay, so let's say it is where clause, and where clause is dynamic. Okay, because where clause is dependent on user's input, where name is equals to, and then this part is dependent on user input. Sorry. And let's say this is input param. And again, this, okay, single quote, then ending this code, escape character. Okay, let me try to save this. So you can see that this is the query where select ID name from account is a static part, but this where clause is dependent on this input param. Okay, now this input param is given by the user. User will give it on, let's say, Lightning Web Component screen. Okay, and then we will do the SOQL query. So we will, let's say, return the database dot query. And this is a database method to do the SOQL query. Okay, there are two ways to do it. One with our traditional way where we directly write query like this. Let's say list of account list is equals to, and here we write the query select ID comma name from. This is normal SOQL way. There is a database way to do it where we build our query normally and then we do it like this. Select list of account, let's say account list, and we do it like this database dot query. And then here, whatever string, whatever query you did, you pass it as a string. So you will pass it as a string here. There are a couple of advantages we get when we do database query. Okay, like partial processing is available in it and few more. We will discuss them later, but for now you understand that there are two different ways to do it. One is normal SOQL and one is database.query method. Okay, database.query in which it takes as a string as an input. Okay, so these are the two ways. And obviously this is returning the list of accounts. So the date return type should be list of account. Okay, now let me try to save this. Yes, Manjunath, go ahead.
Uh, I mean, whatever we are returning here, we are passing the just a query, but we are not appending, concatenating the where clause.
Yes, let me also do that. Very right. So, okay, correct. So we will have to write again query is equals to, or here itself, let's write that because we already have written query. Let's do it inside this query plus, and then write where, okay, and then plus, and here let's write the where clause. This step was meant to be done here, but because I did write database.query, I went on to explain this part. Okay, now I think this should be fine. Okay. And let me save this. And let's try to do it. I think now our query looks fine. Select ID, comma name from account where name is equals to input param. Whatever name we provide, we will get it. And let's write instead of account, let's do it for opportunity because we have created opportunity. We are sure about opportunities more than account, right? So let's do the opportunity. Yeah, that should be fine now, right? Okay, let's open the anonymous block and try to call this. So database is predefined method which provides us at least partial data. Yeah, yep, yep. We will talk about difference between normal SOQL and database methods, guys. Don't worry.
Hello, Mohit.
Yeah, go ahead.
There is also one method query with binds or query binds method by which we can bind this variable and the input parameter.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah.
So yes, can you explain that also,
Are you
please?
talking about
Actually,
bind variables?
query binds, I can't recall it exactly.
Okay,
Database dot binds variable.
okay,
Yes.
I'll check it. Normally, I just use database.query, nothing else on that, but we will see that. Okay, don't worry. Let us cover the main first topic and then we will search that as well. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So we have created this list of opportunity and then we are calling this class and this method. This will take test as this will take a string input. So let us pass test and it will take just the actual name. We are not using like keyword yet. So let us give an actual name. Okay. Okay. That is the actual name. And then let us debug. Okay. Let's try to execute this. Unexpected token name. Do we not have a name field on opportunities or what?
A space before where, Mohit, I think.
After opportunity or before name? No. So we have that.
So this. See, we have to be very careful with this whenever we build as a string because it is very important. So we have got this opportunity, ID and name both. Okay. Now, if someone tries to provide a bad input, okay, like
Mohit, I have a question.
go ahead.
So as you said that there might be condition that we don't know on which object we have to query. So in that condition, how to declare the return type? As here we know that we are querying on opportunity that so that we have declared list of opportunity we are returning. So but there might be condition that we don't know on which object we are querying and what kind of list is returning here. So in that case, how to declare the return type in method?
We will return the list of S object.
Okay.
Rather than any particular object, we will try to return the list of S object. Okay.
Okay.
Now, if a user give this as an input and we try to execute this. Mismatch character. Okay, let me see.
Yeah, Mohit.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're using the slash, so why you're using slash? I mean,
This is the escape character, guys. This is the escape character. Whenever we'll have to uh see within a string, if we'll have to use the single quote, then we will have to use escape character before that. Otherwise, we will not be able to use another single quote annotation, in another single quote inside already a string. Okay, so if I have this as a string, okay, and I have to use another single quote, then I'll have to use escape before that. Okay, then only it will treat this as a string. Otherwise, you will get an error. That is why we are using it. Escape character. This is escape character. I will give you some explanation to this. Okay. Right. So this is not taking this as an input. It is saying that mismatch end of character expecting single column on line 5. Yeah, that is fine. Okay, just understand this. What I'm trying to explain is that now this program is dependent on your user input. Okay, when you give a proper input and it will give the proper output, but let's say when somebody tries to play with your system and your system is not built to handle that, then in that case, if someone tries to give you a bad input, your program might expose more data than what it is intended to, or that bad input might even corrupt your own system as well. Okay, so here you are giving a single string. Okay, but this is not a proper string, and because of that your program is not behaving properly. It is not giving proper answer. Sometimes hackers or those people who tries to play with your system will give you a wrong input just to play with your system, and then they may get access to data which they are not supposed to get. That is basically known as the that is basically known as the SOQL injection. They are trying to inject a bad input in your system to get more data out of it, or to crash your system, or to make your system behave weirdly. Okay, that is known as the SOQL injection. Anyway, SOQL or Salesforce query is built to handle the injections. So when you try to provide a bad input, it will protect your system. But anyway, we'll have to also be very careful when we build our program that it is injection proof. It is written in a way that whenever someone do the wrong data on it, we handle that. Okay, we do not expose the more data. Here, what normally happens is that user provided this input, and based on this input, we are supposed to give him this particular opportunity, only this particular opportunity with this name. But if he provides a bad data, we might expose all the opportunities where it will just take this as an input and might expose all the data. Okay, so that is why we have to use bind variables. What bind variable does is that instead of uh, uh, bind variables will help us to do the SOQL query in a better way, and we will see how bind variable works, but it prevents our system from the SOQL injections from the attackers. Okay, so bind variables are very helpful in situation like this. Chaitanya has typed, yeah, you have given this
Sir,
in, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
the one you were explaining, the SOQL injection, is it similar to the cross-site scripting, or it is also known as the cross-site scripting XSS?
No, that I need to find. I'm not sure if these are the same thing.
Because I was earlier finding about the cross-site scripting, and that I got to know about the SOQL injection that time.
See, cross-site scripting, we will see that. See, yes, we will see that. So, SOQL injections are basically the vulnerabilities happens in our systems, and we will have to be very careful with that. Okay, there is a link For that, mitigate SOQL injection, you can go through that. It will tell you everything about what it is and how do you solve it. So I will put this link on chat. This is also available on the PPT on SOQL we have. There are a couple of things we do to avoid this. We can use the binding variables. We can use the escape single quotes. See, this only happens when we try to escape it with the single quotes. Okay, because what happens is that this is a string. Okay, but when you provide this escape character, it will treat it will append this as a part of SOQL query. Now this query will become select ID comma name, ID comma name from opportunity, where name is equals to my opportunity test or name not equals to null. So even though we provided it as an input as a string, because of this single quote character, it will be appended on the SOQL query. Okay, because here a string will end and then this part will become the part of your SOQL query. Okay, so if we use string dot escape single quotes, then whatever single quote it has, it will escape. Okay, it will treat this as a complete string. And if it treats this as a complete string, then this is not a valid input. We will not be able to find any opportunity with this name. So in that case, it will not give us anything in return. Okay. So that is why we use that. Sometimes few blogs will say that avoid dynamic query construction, but avoiding dynamic query construction is uh not see, we cannot avoid creating dynamic queries because we'll have to build a robot system. So we cannot avoid dynamic query, but yes, we can use binding variables and single escape single quotes to avoid these things. Okay, and we'll obviously have to review our code properly to make sure that we do not have any vulnerabilities. So this is SOQL injection. This is dynamic queries as well we saw. Now,
Wait, one question.
yeah, Manjunath, go ahead.
In order to make our code or a system robust, we'll write majorly a dynamic query, most of the cases, or
Correct.
50%. Okay, I can say.
Mhm.
So here we have a chance of having the SOQL injection also. So
100.
to avoid that, we just have to keep in mind the inputs what we are passing,
Right.
right? We just have to keep in mind the input what we are passing, which is supposed to be a bind variable instead of doing this kind of method, like
Right.
where
Right.
clause where we are passing the input.
Right. Right.
Okay, because as you said, like some blogs says that to avoid dynamic, right? That is what my assumptions earlier.
Yes, we have to be very careful with what input we are passing. Okay. And sometimes, let's say we have got this user input. Okay. Uh, string input param. Okay. This is what user is giving. So we will use the bind variables. Bind variables we can use to dynamically substitute the value user has provided at runtime. Okay, when we use bind variable, it basically prevents our system against the SOQL injection attacks. Okay, by automatically handling the data type conversion. Okay, so if it is a string, it will by using binding variable, we'll be able to automatically handle that part. So Salesforce itself will handle if you have, let's say, any escape character or something, it will all automatically use that mechanism inside it to convert it into the string. Okay, so if even let's say you have any single you have provided a string. Okay, and inside that you have a escape character, that bind variable will be able to convert that to whole string as a string rather than converting that escape character to another part of the SOQL query. So it will automatically handle that conversion part and it will automatically protect your system. Okay, how do we use binding variables? So uh, let's say we have this string input. Okay, and whatever you gave as a, I'm just here in our query. Let's say we've got the list of account list, and here we did the SOQL query. Select ID, comma name from account where name is equals to, and then here we used to provide, let's say, input. Okay, and save this, or input param directly. Let's not go this way. Okay, so here we'll have to say use this. So what we did here is that we use this input param with the help of bind variable. This is known as the bind variable. We can use with a single as well as in as well when we have the list of data. Okay, so we can use this bind variable. Now this bind variable will take care of any malicious thing we provide in this input string. If there is any malicious thing, this bind variable will take care of that. Our SOQL query will only return the proper input if it has a proper, will return proper output if it has a proper input. If it has anything malicious, then it will take care of it and will not return anything. So bind variables are very helpful. We can use bind variables in SOQL as well as in SOSL queries. Okay, both. And they will not only help us improve the security, but also will help us improve the performance as well. Okay, there is a very good article on bind variable. I'll share with you guys. I have written a couple of advantages of bind variables on my PPT as well. You guys can go through this, but bind variables are very helpful. Okay, so we will have to explain that in interview. Now we will have to see what are the SOSL query. Okay, we till now we have only seen the SOQL queries, and there are so many questions we get from SOQL queries, mostly from the aggregate functions and the advanced clauses, like what is the order by clause, what is for update. Okay, so there is something called for update as well. Let me also tell that thing. What is return? Okay, sorry. And there is, let me show that thing. There is an order, okay? There is an order on which we do the SOQL query. So let us first discuss that. Sometimes we get an interview question like, what will be the sequence of it? So this is the sequence of it, and let me put it on chat as well. First, obviously, will be this select clause, from clause, and then where clause. They are fixed. Okay, and then we will have to see what are the things like group by will always come prior to order by. So if we'll have to use in a single query both group by and order by, then we will have to first use group by, then use order by. Okay, it will not be like if I first use order by and then group by, it will work. No, we will not be able to do that. So there is a sequence given to a SOQL query. Okay, and in that sequence only, if you'll have to use multiple clauses, then we'll have to follow this sequence. For update will always come in the end. For update basically is whenever you want to get the exclusive access. Let me see, where is the explanation of for update? Yeah, here it is. So for update basically locks the S object records which you are trying to update. Okay, so if I use for update with a SOQL query, and if any user is running that query, then it will lock that particular S object record. So only you and you get the exclusive access of that record. Nobody else in the backend will be able to update that record. Okay. Now you can't use order by clausing in any SOQL query that uses locking. So you cannot use order by with if you are using for update in a SOQL query. That's a different thing. Okay. This is the standard sequence of SOQL query. Okay. So you have to follow that sequence. You cannot reorder it. Okay. So sometimes we get interview question, can I put order by first and then group by? Sometimes can I put order by before the where clause? Can I put offset before the group by? No. Whatever sequence is written here, you will have to follow that sequence. Okay. You can use multiple clauses, but you have to know about the sequence of it. And if you are aware about the sequence, then you will be able to use them. Okay. So limit, if you have to use limit and offset both, then limit will come first, offset will come later. That is something you have to know. And that is something you will get to know by practice. Okay. Now, the major difference between SOQL and SOSL query is, okay, Manjunath is saying multiple users updating the record from different location. How do you handle record lock? Yes, correct. That is by using the for update keyword. So whichever gets the access of that record first will get it exclusively, so that he will be able to do that first. And then when he unlocks it, then only other users will be able to do that. Okay. But don't use this for update in all of your SOQL query. If you have made a robust system where users are using it all over the globe, then they might get a lot of record locking errors. Sometimes your users get this error that unable to obtain the exclusive access of this record. That happens when some other users are trying to update it, or some other operations are trying to access that record. So in that case, you will not get the exclusive access. If you will use it too frequently with too many records, then your users will start getting this error very frequently, and that will be very frustrating for them. They are editing an opportunity but not able to edit because of this error, that they are unable to obtain the exclusive access. Okay, we get this error a lot, so don't use it too much. Okay, now I was telling you the major difference between SOQL and SOSL is that SOQL only works with one object. You cannot query more than one object at once unless they are like connected and you put the subquery. You cannot query more than one object. But in SOSL query, you can query more than one object as well. Okay. These are the text based query. Okay. So the syntax of it is find, let's say, test let me see the syntax. I do not write a lot of SOQL queries, to be very frank. And whenever you'll have to build a text-based search engine, then you use the SOSL query. Okay. So this is the syntax of it. Find, let's say, in search group. Let's say find search query.
Till now, I use this only in encryption, sealed encryption.
Yeah. So you use it like this, find in all fields. Okay. Find test in all fields. Okay. If I use this, we have also used it only once, that too when we were building the knowledge base for our customers, and customers can search anything, like they can search anything. Like we'll have to build it like this, that let's say they entered their case number, they have case number, and they may get case in return, they may get articles in return, they may get accounts in return, they may get contacts in return, whatever they are relevant data. So we cannot use SOQL query for that, because we are not only searching one object, we are searching multiple objects. Okay. So let's say they search password. Now they have couple of cases where they have password related things. They have we have couple of knowledge articles which return password. We have couple of policies which return password. So we cannot do it with the single object. Okay, we are not only returning them knowledge articles. So our search base was more than one object. So then we use the SOSL queries. Okay, but SOSL queries are very bad for the performance because you are searching all the objects and all the fields of that, unless you specify which object. So if I find something like this, if I try to query it, find test in all fields. What is this? No search. Okay, there must be something wrong by we do. Is there any other way we do it? Sample SOSL query. Let's see. SLPC. We don't. We find the PVC in all fields. What's wrong with this, guys? This works for both SOQL and SOSL, right? Yeah, this works for both. And we have test as value in all fields. Let's say returning 20. That's very strange.
I think, sir, this is braces in query editor. We use the braces. The anonymous window, we use the quotes.
No, but this, see, here they are just doing the single quotes, right? Okay, let me try to do it in the anonymous block. This is our model, right? We make mistakes, we learn from it, so don't worry. Find guys, that this is how I want you guys also to learn. Like don't be afraid of making mistakes, even if we are able to. Entity should be explicitly specified in SSL call in Apex. Let's say the returning team. And now we have got the data. Nice. We have got the opportunity which has text. Let me also include count. So we now are searching two objects, opportunities as well as account. Whichever account and whichever opportunity has test as name, then we will be able to find them. Not only name, whichever field they have. If they have test in any of their field, we will be able to get it. This is the difference between the SOQL and SOSL query, and the return type of SOQL is list, whereas the return type of like if you normally write the SOQL query for this, you will have to specify an object. And if you specify an object, that will obviously return the list of that object. But here we will get the list of list, and inside this list we will have multiple list and those will be multiple objects list. Okay, so this will return the two element in the list. First element will be the list of opportunity, and second element will be the list of account. Okay, if we keep on adding objects, it will keep on adding entries on that list depending on if they have data or not. What I'm still not able to understand is why this is not working. Okay.
You missed S there in field.
Oh, nice. Correct. That's what I missed. And it will work now. Right. Thank you. Mhm.
Can you use the flower bracket in test?
Sorry.
Flower bracket. Find test. That will in code.
Can you chat it, put it on chat, whatever you are saying? I'm not able to understand. Sorry. Put it on chat. Find. See, yes, I can do that, but that's not. I want to. What I'm not able to understand it. Why it is not working. Okay, so by this way we are able to get return. Why it is not taking the single quote as a text? We'll see that.
Query editor will work like that.
Okay, so now you can see if we want to find test in all fields of objects and whatever, then these are the results we get. We have one contact, we have one account, we have we have 4 opportunities which has test in it. We have 10 cases which has test in it. We have email messages, users, SLA process, case comments. So it will fetch all the objects. Okay, so that's the major difference between them, is that you can search multiple objects in a single query in SOSL, but you cannot do the same thing in the SOQL queries. Okay, I have written couple of other differences in my PPT. So if I show you the PPT, okay, difference between SOQL and SOSL, there are a lot of differences I have written. You can go through them and you can check them. You can let me know if you have any doubt on them, and then we will be discussing that. See, in the SOQL query is a very vast topic, so I don't mind making couple of mistakes. I also highly encourage you guys to make couple of mistakes on this, then only you will be able to exactly figure out how it works and what uh, the way it works. Okay, so don't worry about making mistakes in this topic. This is not a topic which we can cover in a day or two. This will take us a lot of time, and we will keep on doing it throughout our course. This was just to begin with. This is just to make you comfortable with the basic things. Okay, and then obviously we'll keep on improving. We did not cover SOQL for loops. Okay, so we will cover that when we write a trigger. So practice as much as you can. There are still a lot of questions we have to discuss in this topic, and we'll keep on doing that. But I think this is a good base. We have covered almost everything in the basics of SOQL query, and then we will build triggers on top of that. Okay. So I think that's pretty much, guys. Anyone has any doubt on this? Try to go through these clauses, these aggregate operators again. Try to create at least one query per operator, one query per clause, and then you will be able to get more confidence on this. All those who do not have enough confidence. Okay.